Hello, and welcome to Mornings with Joel, commercial real estate podcast, where we focus on rising stars and established players in commercial real estate and talk to them about how they are building legacies in today's marketplace. I'd like to welcome all to the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. We do record now Wednesdays at noon, so it's not morning for me per se, but it is for you guys on the West Coast, and so we're happy to have you join the show, and we're excited to bring this valuable information to you as well, and look forward to your continued participation in the show. We have a special guest today, and as most of you are probably aware, this is the conclusion of Black History Month. And the timing is kind of interesting. You have situations going on in Florida where there are a lot of contention about, I guess, whether Black history is U.S. history, which is kind of interesting. You can't carve that out the history books, but we'll talk about that a little bit. And one thing about equality in the country always comes back to the issue of minorities in business. And we think of the Black Wall Streets and the other parts of the country where there were Black cities that either were burnt down or other things. So we're going to get into all that today. For that reason, we're excited to bring on Melvin Coleman. Now, Melvin Coleman, happy to have you here today, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah,
welcome to the show.
Great to be here, man. We finally made it happen. So that in itself is an accomplishment.
Absolutely. So, Melvin, tell us a little bit. You're with the Black Chamber of Commerce. Most folks don't even know there's a Black Chamber of Commerce. So tell us, well, first of all, before we even go into that, tell us a little bit about your background. I understand you're from Savannah.
Yeah, so I'm an original DSGB. Not everybody can claim that acronym. And
I don't even know what that is.
For those who need a translation, I'm a down South Georgia boy. Okay, so we claim it. Yeah, we tat it up on the shoulders and everything. It's serious, all right? So yes, I'm Savannah born and raised. I believe in hard work and what we need to do together. The state may still be controlled by, say, not us, but we're 30+% of the population, and we're definitely serious about moving in the right direction to bring about some of the changes that we know that needs to happen. So it's all about the work.
Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Let me just back up a minute because like I mentioned, you're with the Black Chamber of Commerce, but you've also had a history in wealth management and things of that sort. And of all the careers, what directed you in that direction in order to want to focus on wealth management as a career path?
I think everybody has this thing that is like who they are and just quite naturally, not that they have to work so hard at it. And so my thing was always money and everything about money. Even as a kid, I was the one that was known. Oh yeah, Melvin's got all his money in the bank. He's not gonna buy a car. It was like I was just that financially aware young person when all my friends were doing other things, and I was looking at my savings account. I was excited about my savings account. They were excited about, they got some rims on their car. So it's just who you are. So that's who I am in terms of money and wealth accumulation, and so it's just a part of who I am.
All right, fantastic. And you're still in that space, right?
Yes. And so it's something that I don't have to retire from. So at some point I will retire from the chamber, but I don't ever have to retire from wealth management or managing money the way that I enjoy in the stock market. It's something that I will always be engaged in and helping people, educating people and that sort of thing.
Gotcha. Well, tell us a little bit about your business. I know, one of the great disparities in the country that always holds people back is ones with money and ones without money. And in order to help individuals better manage their money, what are some things that you would want us to walk away with from this show today that we can share with our listeners? And I know that's kind of a broad statement, but I don't want to pigeonhole you. But what are some things that you think people just kind of overlook or don't focus on that they need to in order to manage their money better, especially as minorities?
Yeah, well, start somewhere in terms of putting money aside or investing actually, and just be consistent. So you start and be consistent, and over time, that alone will make a huge difference. Obviously, it's much better to start young and be consistent. And by the time you're my age, you actually should be in great shape if you did that 30 years ago. But I would say, just to keep it very simple, you have to start and you have to be consistent. And a lot of it will take care of itself if you have that commitment, that discipline to do that.
Got you. And any particular alternative investments, or mainly just thinking of stocks and bonds and things of that sort?
Oh, absolutely. Real estate over the past, real estate has turned the place out. I'm a market guy. I'm a stock market professional. I'm folks you see on television. I could have conversations with them all day about the market. So that's my thing. But even I can see what's happened in the real estate space. If you had gotten in at the right time when things look really, really bad, like how you would be positioned right now. Yeah. So there are a few different options. The market is always going to do what it does, and it doesn't matter if it's up or down. It just depends on how you were positioned. People make money when the market's going down too. But real estate definitely is in a space where I highly recommend people to look at how they should be involved in it, starting with your own residence, but then other ways to leverage and all of that. So yeah, I'm a big proponent of that.
Sounds good. So you've been doing this for years. I'm sure you see the bad decisions oftentimes that many minorities make when it comes down to managing money. But then back in 2017, it appears that you decided to spend more of your talents and time working with the chamber. Tell us a little bit about the Black Chamber of Commerce, because there's a few different chambers out there, and there's a national chamber that you're a part of. And just, if you don't mind, give us kind of an overview as to how all that works and, how it all came together.
Yeah, so I came back to the organization about mid-year 2016. Okay. And there was a transition in leadership taking place. Okay. So I had been a member, say, 06, 07, 08. Okay. And then I left because the great financial crisis and everything just shook up a lot of folks in terms of what we had to do. So I was gone for several years. I came back in 2016, organization going through this transition, and a new president was appointed. Now that individual could not, say, run the organization. And so January of 2017, I became the executive director to, say, run the organization along, say, with that current president. And so from January 2017 up until now, and still, as far as we can see, the organization has been the growth, development, events, activities, programming, membership, everything has been just phenomenal in the way things have moved over, say, the previous 6 years. So we still have a lot of work to do, and we work hard every day. So you mentioned we have an affiliation with, it's actually the U.S. Black Chambers based in D.C. And so they represent, say, Black business across the country. And so their relationships with local chambers, so here in Atlanta, that would be the Atlanta Black Chambers, but other major markets where you have Black chambers, they would have the relationship with that organization. So though the chambers are independent, autonomous organizations, we have a relationship with the USBC. So there's resources and different things that they have access to, being based in DC and having the relationships with all the elected officials and things like that. So it does work well that we collaborate. And so the US Black Chambers in DC is a great partner to the ABC, the Atlanta Black Chambers.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. So let me ask you the most simplest foundational type question, which would be, why would anyone want to join the chamber? What would be the carrot or the reason that me as a business owner, minority business owner, would want to join the Chamber of Commerce, and why the Black one versus the Atlanta City one, for an example? Or should I do both? Or, how would you answer that?
Mm-hmm. Well, to keep it very simple, either you are plugged in,
Plugged
part
out.
of, and everything that's going down, you know what's going on. You're connected to everything that you need to be connected to. Either that's the case, or you're not connected, you're not plugged in, you're outside, and everything that's happening, say, within the network, the community of business owners, the chamber universe, you're missing out. You don't even know what you don't know, okay? Because you're not a part of this catalyst, this central place where information, okay, access to resources, training, programs, whether it be grants, all of this stuff is happening every day. So if you're a business owner, and most business owners have plenty good sense, you want to be a part of it and not disconnected from that. So that's really my initial response would be, you want to be in, not out, So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask, are there tangible things that you could say are benefits of being part of the Black Chamber? But you mentioned about, connections, obviously. Is there any access to capital through the chamber? Is there courses and training? And I guess all of that is part of it as well.
I would say yes, and yes. So yeah, we did over $100,000 in grants last year, and we're really, really excited about what we were able to do in terms of literally giving Black entrepreneurs money. Mm-hmm. And we're talking about money that they didn't have to pay back. So if they needed something critical for their business to get to that next level, and $10,000 or what have you, that can make a difference. And so that's not a lot of money, but for a small business that is in that growth, that process, that growth cycle, and that's an infusion of cash that, hey, I can get this equipment or I can upgrade something. So yeah, it can be very tangible. But the relationships, so it's one thing to be broke from a money standpoint. It's another thing to not have the right person in your network that you can call. And if you have a challenge, and they can tell you the right thing at the right time, and that gets you over that hump. So it's first and foremost about people supporting each other, collaboration, relationships. So these are the things that happen very organically, say, in the chamber as it operates and as it exists, and as we do things on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. This is what happens, man. These meaningful relationships, people connect in the chamber, and they're connected for the rest of their lives. And then those are valuable relationships, and that's a big part of what we do as well.
Okay. All right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like what you said there a minute ago about oftentimes you don't even know what you don't know. So you might think you're not missing anything, but if you're not even involved, you wouldn't even know what you're missing.
So let me give you an example. I have a favorite restaurant near my home that it's a Jamaican restaurant. I like to, I still like red beans and rice and curry chicken sometimes, right?
Sure.
I eat it in moderation, but yeah, I still get down. Yeah. And so there was a program for restaurants. It was called the Restaurant Something Program whenever all this stuff was going on, with ARP money and all this stuff was happening, right? And so I say to them, do you know about this program for restaurants? You all could get some support, some real funding, to get you through. And they're like, nah. They're just like, we don't know anything, because they were not connected to all of this great information that's being put out there. So in that case, they did not know what they didn't know until I told them.
Yeah.
But there are literally thousands of businesses that fall into that category. Now, thank God for the thousands that are, say, connected to us, and we put this out consistently. But when I think about all of those businesses that need support and they're just not a part of the ecosystem, and that's what we try to do. We try to expand our database so that we know we're touching all of these businesses.
Yeah. You made me think of something when you were saying that. What actually is the membership now of the chamber? Do you know offhand how many members you have?
Yeah, we have roughly 800-ish members.
Okay.
And well, this year, before long, we will eclipse 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just with entrepreneurship now being a popular thing. You know, my generation, when I was growing up, it was go to school so you can get a good job.
Yeah.
I'm an 80s kid, so you go to school so you can get a good job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this generation, and thank God for it, we're letting them know that, you could possibly be a John H. Johnson, or, so many, say, famous Black entrepreneurs that, we can run down the list. But when I was a kid, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
So some things have changed, and it's great because we need Black ownership.
Yeah. Yeah, that's that is a true statement, because you're right, especially in the South. I hadn't seen it as much in the North, but it certainly was the case in the South where it was like, get that good education, go to school. But you're right, it teaches you to go get a job and work for someone else, as opposed to being able to start your own business. So appreciate that. Let me ask you this: if I was to just ask you to encapsulate what's really the overarching goal of the chamber, is it the same as every other chamber, or is there specific goals for the Black Chamber of Commerce that you could clearly identify as to, a reason, in addition to all the other reasons that you gave us? What's the end goal of the chamber to where they can look back and say, you know what, we actually accomplished what we set out to do?
Yeah. So our situation is critical. Mm-hmm. So we would have, our focus would be more intense. It would be different than, say, other what we call majority chambers, because our conditions are such that it's urgent for us. We have to be focused. We have to execute so that we change the trajectory of what the future looks like. Okay, we have the opportunity to do it. So our mission, the creation and growth of competitive, profitable, and sustainable Black-owned entities, because we know competitive, profitable, and most importantly, sustainable Black-owned entities is how we transform from, say, employees or consumers to then owners, investors, and the racial wealth gap. You'll see a significant reduction in that racial wealth gap, because when we own, there's greater level of ownership. Then we have not just, say, the Black consumer, but consumers in general spending millions and billions of dollars with businesses, with corporations that Black, I always tell people, hey, we don't just want Black-owned businesses, we want Black-owned corporations. And we will have these if we continue to build. So our focus is, it's just real critical for us. It's not a casual thing at all. And most Black people understand that,
Yeah. It's interesting because, being in this business for a long time and on the real estate side, one thing you come to appreciate is that whenever you have to go beg for money, you're always in a secondary position, and if you don't have minority-owned firms and investors and people at that level that could put money into your business or your deals, then you're always in that subservient position, if you will, because you're always, trying to get more money. I think even the Bible says that the borrower is slave to the lender, right? So, if you're in that position, always, it's hard for people to view you as equal when you're always begging and asking and clawing for capital. So, being able to develop and grow these businesses and make them self-sustained, and then to be able to turn around and be sustainable, as you mentioned, to invest in other businesses, I think is a very, very valuable thing. So that's an interesting charter that you have, and it makes it really interesting. I did want to mention one thing on that point, because I don't know where all of our guests are coming in from. I see New Jersey on here, or that could just be NJ as initials. The point is that there are, that you're part of you run the Atlanta chamber, but obviously there's chambers all over the country. So I guess the encouragement would be also, and you might feel the same way, that individuals should get involved with whatever their local Black Chamber of Commerce is, wherever they're located at. Would that be safe to say?
Absolutely. And also, we have a lot of members who are also members of, say, the majority chamber in their respective county.
Okay.
Because these relationships, again, it's about relationships. It's about being in the right rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So we support and are proponents of, hey, you don't have to stop here. Obviously, we want you to do this first, because this is where you're going to get what you need from a Black perspective. And our focus is on the critical issues of the Black community. And that resonates with most Black people. But then the next step very well could be to start forming relationships beyond that could be beneficial, even in the sense that you can bring stuff back to the family, because you got exposed to some things because you are in those other spaces with other people. So we see that as being, very strategic. I think, folks play chess on us and we still have our checkerboard out. So we're going to play chess too. And so those are some of the moves. That's how we want to move, very strategically, actually.
Yeah. Very good point. What I want to do is go ahead and open up the chat for anyone who has any questions or anything else that they want to ask of Melvin. We'll go ahead and start opening that up now. You could either raise your digital hand or you can put those questions in the chat, and we'll try to get to you as we continue our discussion here. So let me ask this. At what stage of a business do you recommend someone join the chamber? What would you say? Is it at the idea stage? Is it at the, we're doing $1 million a year in revenue? What would you tell someone that might be considering joining the chamber? What stage should they jump in?
Well, the person that's truly on it, they join the chamber before they even have a business.
Okay.
So there is no, wait until you get absolutely not. And I see people all the time in our events and activities who, some of them are still in corporate, and they're so on top of things, they got a 2-year plan. So they're already members of the chamber, connecting with the right people. Okay. And I'm like, okay, you're setting yourself up for success by doing that.
Yeah.
In the entrepreneur game, the idea is to not be behind the 8 ball. For an entrepreneur, it's how do I stay 2 steps ahead? And it goes back to what I said about you got to be connected. You got to be a part of this, because to not be a part of it, sometimes you don't even know what you don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, very good point. Very good point. What are some of the challenges that you think the businesses that are part of the chamber are facing, and how is the chamber helping them get through that?
Well, that's a great question. So, access to capital is always just a consistent thing, right? So the chamber, with our relationships, we're able to, say, connect them with, say, options away from the traditional bank, which may not, the model for the traditional bank is not one that fits, say, a lot of entrepreneurs in our community. So the alternative financing options. So what the chamber does every day, I mean, it's like the air we breathe, is we inform, we educate, and we empower, say, our people with knowledge and education, so they can make decisions, right, based on real, accurate, timely information. So that's a big part of it. So when we come to access to capital, we got to educate them, and then we have to share with them, here's some options. Let's see if something here can work for you. But then, how do you scale and grow your business to get to a level to where you qualify to even bid on lucrative contracts, whether they be in the public sector or the private sector? So we have to support them in that sense as well. So, how can we help you get that right certification? Okay, that is a prerequisite to be a part of, the whole vendor process for XYZ company. So those are things that we work on and how we want to support our members.
Okay. No, that makes sense. I appreciate that. Amber, how you doing? Good to see you as always. Thanks for joining. You had a question here. Can you talk about some of the events from the past year? What are some of the events from the past year you could tell us about, Melvin?
Oh, wow. So Amber asked a great question. And so for 2022, man, we had some phenomenal events. And I would say the important thing about the events is we're bringing like-minded people together so that they can connect and then, collaborate and create opportunities together. And so it's really, really powerful. And some examples of some of the great events that we do. We had the real estate summit, which we have a real estate and professional services committee, which is a very powerful group of real estate professionals. Okay, it's a part of the ABC. That summit was amazing. And we created this, we produced this, and we allowed people to come in and experience or have exposure with a lot of key, say, real estate minds, say, in the Atlanta metropolitan area. And it was just powerful. So that was the real estate summit. But that's not all. Our committees, each one of our committees will have a signature event. Shout out to all the ladies. So the Women's League, they have something they call cocktails on the course, and all the ladies come together. They take a big golf lesson and they socialize. But the purpose of the event, again, is so that they can come together and really form these bonds, okay? So that they can support each other and really understand that they have the same challenges. And if they stay together, the whole process could be so much easier for them. So we have events weekly, monthly, throughout the course of the year. One of our most consistent, most popular events is Tuesday Talks, our virtual roundtable. So every Tuesday morning, 8:30 a.m., we have a good time on Zoom, very much like this, okay? So just to give you some sense of the magnitude of it, our last Tuesday Talks this week. So it's like 230 some odd people on Zoom to hear, whoever our guest speaker is, the announcements, the member spotlights, and just the call to actions that we do. And it's like a powerful 45 minutes. We don't go forever. You come in, you get what you need, and you come back next week and we do it again. But that's a very popular event for the Atlanta Black Chambers. And it's open. It's an open forum to the community. So anybody can actually tune in to Tuesday Talks. And I hope that some of your guests would check it out. Now, you visit our website, and the information is on our website, atlantablackchambers.org.
All right. Sounds good. Amber, was that good?
She may have had something specific, so she can put in the chat and I'll talk about it. But I don't, because Amber's like, she may want me to talk about something specific, but yeah.
All right. Well, if you got a follow-up, just let us know, Amber, and we'll try to get it in. So appreciate that. Taryn Bell, she had a question also. There are several resources here in Atlanta for African-American entrepreneurs. What separates you all from those other resources, for example, the Rice Center? How would you answer that?
So that's a great question, because Atlanta is special. The richness in say resources, organizations that have a similar mission. But when you put it all together, you see a powerful Black community. So first of all, Atlanta is in itself just something really different. And to that question, the point there, I would say first and foremost, we're all, say, collaborators. We work together. So the ABC has an office at the Russell Center. I love our office at the Russell Center because we're positioned right where I like to be, right on Main Street. You walk in, you turn the corner, you're like, that is the ABC office right there. So first of all, we're all friends and we all work together. Now, the Atlanta Black Chambers, our membership is throughout the metropolitan area, actually throughout the United States and indeed the world. So we don't have, say, a brick and mortar. And so we're everywhere. We're in all the different counties. As a matter of fact, we have a community panel discussion in Stonecrest, Stonecrest out over in DeKalb County. We'll be at the Rice Center, at the Russell Center doing events and activities. We'll be at the Gathering Spot. We'll be at Pittsburgh Yards next week for a construction event. So when you say, what's that difference or anything? I would say, look at the mobility of the ABC and how we can show up everywhere. But that's not to say that, again, the Russell Center is one of our biggest and best partners. And so, they have some really strong points associated with how they do things. And so to be here in Atlanta and to have access to all of this, you don't have to pick and choose. You can get down with the ABC. You can get down with the Russell Center. And there are a few others I could name too. So it's really amazing.
All right. So Taryn, hopefully that answers your question. But I like that, the fact that it's not us versus them, because that separation, doesn't work well. If anything, needs to be more collaboration in order to get things done.
So Jay Bailey, the president and CEO of the Russell Center, was our guest speaker on Tuesday Talks.
Okay, all right. And he's been on here. So yeah.
What we do is what it is, and it's how it should be.
Yeah. So good stuff. I did want to ask you about that because you talked about upcoming events and everything else. But I did want to circle back to one thing real quick that you mentioned a couple minutes ago. Most of the folks who are on the line are real estate folks, like myself. And we all know Pittsburgh Yards, and you mentioned about a construction event. So what's that all about, since that's an upcoming event that you have?
So March 2nd, which is next Thursday, 4 p.m., our Real Estate and Professional Services Committee is putting on the construction education event. Everything we do, man, we look at, okay, how powerful can we deliver this valuable content for our community? So we've got 2 amazing panels, and the individuals who are on these panels, subject matter experts. So there's something called Black intellectual capital. And this is really the knowledge that the Black community possess. And so when we look at individuals who work in a particular industry and they have the resume, the credentials and everything, that particular person is what we mean when we say Black intellectual capital. So to put individuals on a panel, okay, to share all of this knowledge, to elevate, say, our community and individuals in our community, it's a great opportunity. So March 2nd, next Thursday, 4 p.m., registration is on our website. If you get our newsletter, registration is in the newsletter. But we would love to have you come out to experience the ABC at a very high level, because the people who produce this particular event, whatever they put their hands on, you can bet that it is going to be amazing.
Okay. All right. No, I appreciate that. So let me ask this. If any of our guests wanted to be guest speakers, because it sounds like you do bring in guest speakers from time to time. You mentioned Jay Bailey. What is the criteria for anyone who wanted to have that opportunity and speak to the chamber, maybe about whatever subject matter they have expertise in?
So that works 2 ways. So to be a guest speaker, you have to be someone in a position or at a level to where you should be the guest speaker on Tuesday Talks, right? So not everybody will have that opportunity.
Sure.
Now, for folks who want to speak on Tuesday Talks, you want what we call a spotlight. Well, you have to put the word member in front of that because you have to be a member of the Atlanta Black Chambers to have that member spotlight. So it's really, a couple things there in terms of, that guest speaker, those are some high level folks.
Sure. No, I understand that. Are there any other events where you bring in speakers, or is it just the Tuesday Talks?
I would say most of our events, whether you're a keynote or you're participating on a panel. So we definitely have opportunities for, say, speakers or folks to participate and be a part of the ABC experience. Mm-hmm. And so what we look for there, first and foremost, we look at our membership and where can we find those subject matter experts in the membership. And then if we go outside the membership to get something very specific, then that's fine as well, because we want to make sure we are, say, delivering in all the critical areas. So yeah, but that's how we manage that.
Okay. All right. Great. And Amber, thanks for doing this. She put the actual registration for the Pittsburgh Yard event in the chat. So if any one of you are interested in that, you can certainly check that out. That should be beneficial. Let me ask you this also. You mentioned about these different clubs and committees and whatnot. What are some of the key committees? Obviously, you have a real estate committee that I guess puts on the real estate summit. Are there any other real estate groups or other organizations that our audience might be interested in?
So thanks so much for asking that question, because you give me an opportunity to really share the structure of the Atlanta Black Chambers.
Sure.
So we have the 4 affinity groups. We have 4 affinity groups, beginning with the Women's League.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Veteran Entrepreneurs Group. So veteran. So I'm a Navy guy. So we say veterans. We're talking about prior service, prior military. So Women's League, Veteran Entrepreneurs, and then we have the Young Entrepreneurs Collaborative. So if you're, say, 35 or younger, you can be a part of the YEC, the Young Entrepreneurs Collaborative. Now, the 4th affinity group is interesting because it is our first time taking a geographic area of the metro and creating something for the individuals who specifically live or you have your business in that area. So the ABC South Metro Group. So you're talking about Henry, Clayton, the southern part of DeKalb, and everything down in that area. So that's the ABC South Metro Group. Now, all of these affinity groups, each one, they have their own events and things that they do. But now when we shift over to the committees, which are based on an industry, an occupation, or profession, we talked about the Real Estate and Professional Services Committee. But then we have the Transportation and Logistics Committee. Then we have the Global Opportunities Committee. We have Financial Services Committee. We have Health and Wellness Committee. And I may be forgetting 1 or 2, but to give you some idea, the committees are going to be like, what is your business? What is it that you do? Okay, well then, this is the committee where you're going to find all of your peers, and they like to come together, work together, and create experiences for not just for people in their industry, but for everybody. So that's really, because folks will look at our calendar and they'll say, man, you guys have so much going on. And it really is because, well, the different components, if you will, they have their own thing that they're producing their own events and that sort of thing. So we stay busy. We give folks a lot of opportunity to connect with us. And that's how we do it.
Gotcha. So is there a list of the committees anywhere, or is it when you become a member, they email it out to you? I mean, how does all that work?
On our website, you would be able to see on our website. And I did list off the top of my head. Oh, somebody's saying I forgot training. that might be somebody who actually is on training. Okay. Thank you very much.
Training and professional development.
Could be a chamber member there. So yeah, training and professional development. Thank you very much. And so that's one that I forgot. And so there's education and workforce development. And then we have a membership committee. Now, I think that's all of them. I think I covered it.
Okay.
I did mention the YEC. Thank you, NJ. But so I think I may have covered all of it. But you can find that on the Chamber's website. And then sometimes in the different types of newsletter templates that we use, you may see a list of those committees and affinity groups as well.
Okay, gotcha. All right, that's fantastic. So what's the process to join the Chamber if someone wanted to do that and get started?
We make it pretty easy. If you go to the website, you click on membership, and then you'll see a few options there. And, it seems like people join the Chamber every day. It's probably not quite, it seems like that to me, but it's not quite like that. Definitely, multiple people join in a week, right? And it's very easy. You go to the website, bam, and it might take you 10 minutes, the whole process, and you're done.
Okay. All right. And how do your meetings actually take place? You mentioned earlier you don't have a brick and mortar place, but I guess you have the facility at the Rice Center where you may have some of your meetings. But how does all that come together? If a person was a member of the chamber, is it all on Zoom right now, or how are you guys getting together?
So that's a great question, because obviously during the pandemic, everything was virtual. But
Mm-hmm.
now we have the best of both worlds. And I love it, because we definitely want to retain some of that virtual experience because it makes way too much sense. But no, we've been back in person. We started that I would say in a big way last year.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have a lot of in-person events. We've already done a lot, and there are a lot, say, coming up. We spoke about, next week we'll be in person at Pittsburgh Yards. This evening we'll be in person at the Stonecrest Library, okay, for a community panel discussion at the Stonecrest Library. I think it's discussing Black men's safety around law enforcement, and so that should be pretty interesting with some of the folks who are participating in that. So yeah, we're definitely in person, but we definitely we'll have our webinars, one or two a week, and we leverage say Facebook Live and doing things on social media. So we do it all. I think if someone were to take the time to really check us out, they would say like, oh my, yeah, they do it all. It's like what do I want to where do I want to engage with them? That would be the situation for anyone, say, discovering the ABC for the first time. They would have to decide when and where they want to come check us out, because it's all there. Okay.
All right. Do you have to be a member just to show up, or can a person just show up or get a Zoom link, or how does that work?
So, the way we operate is the stage that is the chamber, and it's a grand stage. That is for members. Okay. So when you see us putting a whole lot of shine on somebody, you already know that's a chamber member. Yeah. You see people all glossed up in our marketing and all, because what we talk about is we're going to give you access, and we're going to give you exposure. But for folks to come in to participate and be a part of an attendance to an event, no, that's open to everybody. But again, the chambers, the stage and the platform and everything that we do, that's where, that's the separation there where members get that, at that level, right?
Right.
Yeah. But our activities are most of them are definitely open.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, that all certainly makes sense. If you're not a member, you shouldn't have that opportunity. So I certainly get that. But it is open for people to join and kind of check out the chamber and get a feel for what it's all about and hopefully get engaged. So, absolutely. Okay. All right. Fantastic. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Let me ask this. What else do you want us to know? As we kind of wind down our discussion for today, number one, you do have your wealth management business, and you also run the chamber. So obviously you stay pretty busy. But is there anything else that you want our listeners to know as it relates to the chamber, or anything else at this point? Well, I want everyone to know that. So the movement that is underway for our community, it's going to require us to stay engaged, but a level of consciousness about how we do what we're doing as it relates to spending our money. So there's this movement toward, say, Black ownership and control, of the institutions that make up our community, so that we retain much more of the tremendous amount of wealth that we create, that we generate, and that, say, for 400 years, others have possessed, just because of the way, the business model for the United States, the business model for the world is we do all the work, or we are the talent that produces the wealth. Yet, because we don't have the ownership and control, all of that wealth that is produced by, say, Black excellence, the magnificence of Black people and all of our gifts, other people possess all of that wealth. Obviously, we understand that our ancestors were enslaved. So
all the wealth they generated, they didn't see any of it.
Yeah, built the country.
But in 2023, the mission for us is to change that forever. So that's why I pour all my time and passion into the chamber, because I understand where we are in this time. And you can see, it's slow, but you can see it's some encouragement in terms of different things. It's like, yeah, we got to keep moving forward together.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting when you think about it. I was thinking back as you were talking to the Super Bowl that we just had, and obviously they said more people watched Rihanna in the halftime show than actually watched the Super Bowl itself, and it was a really good game. But one thing that I thought was just really interesting is here's a girl that, she made a few records, she had a few hits, but why is she so much more wealthier than so many other artists? You have a lot of artists, they do a few albums and you never hear from them again. And then they're broke and they're, working at wherever. I don't want to call out no place. What did she do differently that transitioned that? And if you look at it, it was business.
You're right.
It was business. And it was ownership also of the talent, and those two things really set it apart. You look at that with the athletes as well that are making more money in endorsements and in business ventures than they are playing sports. So it's a shifting of mindset. It's not just good enough to score the basket or make a record. You got to own that stuff. You got to own that intellectual property. It looks like you're chomping at the bit to say something about that.
No, I love this is what I mean. Like this is me. This conversation right here, brother.
Yeah.
This is it for me. But yeah. I'll give you an example. So it's been many years ago, but say hip hop artists, rappers on the street, they started doing their mixtapes and they were selling the mixtapes on the street, and they were making decent money selling their mixtapes, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so people who control the industry, they lobbied for legislation to say that somehow that was, I'll just say, illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's like, see, these are examples of our talent, our gifts. And when we set out to take the initiative to benefit and gain from what we've been blessed with, right? So there's a system that says no. No, you're almost like you're here to make me rich, right? So and so my point is that yes, we're going to shut that down. That's what we're going to do. If a brother can't sell his mixtape and make his money because the people who control the record industry, like that's a threat to our money. Yeah. So you see where I'm going with that. But those are real life examples. Those are real life examples. Okay, that actually did happen.
No, it did. It did, absolutely. I mean, I grew up in New York City, man, and the hip hop industry, got crushed initially because a lot of those mixtapes and other things that were being done, it was like, oh yeah, you can't just sample records and do this and do that. We got to have some way of funneling it through a larger institution. But I'm not going to get up on that soapbox. Right. But no, it absolutely did happen, and laws were changed in order to kind of shut all that down. But at the end of the day, ownership is where it's at from that standpoint, if you can do it. But it's a matter of getting the resources, because again, oftentimes we don't know what we don't know, and you don't want to spend 20, 30, 40 years of your life trying to figure it out, where you can go and get with the chamber or some other organization and say, hey, brother, this is the shortcut, as the way you need to go to get this figured out, as opposed to going the long route, and that's where it's at.
Joel?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Deneen. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to make a comment. Joel, thank you. And Mr. Coleman, thank you for being on today. I get the Atlanta Chamber, Black Chambers emails, and I had not joined as a member yet, but I didn't quite understand the benefit. So this chat today and this discussion today helped me to understand that benefit. Now, I don't live in Atlanta proper. I live in Cobb County, but I do business throughout the Atlanta metro area. So I think the impression that I had was that the Atlanta Black Chambers was an organization that was primarily based in the Atlanta area and did not encompass other counties. But apparently, based on your discussion about the affiliate groups and that are there, it does encompass that. So one, I want to thank you for a great discussion. Two, this was so valuable. And now this gives me the go ahead to move forward and become a member of the Atlanta Black Chamber. And finally, your discussion about intellectual property is a very relevant and very much needed discussion, because we possess so much knowledge out here in the marketplace that we are not sharing, but most importantly, that we do not capitalize on that ownership piece of it. And we need to do more of that so that we can become and have those Black Wall Streets again. So gentlemen, thank you so much for this discussion today.
Have you ever done Tuesday Talks, Janine?
I have not had a chance to do the Tuesday Talks, but I will be joining in from here.
Okay.
All right. Fantastic. Janine, that was fantastic. Thank you for that. We really, really appreciate it. And we certainly appreciate all your support as well in letting people know about what we're doing here on the podcast. So, Melvin, this was outstanding. Certainly appreciate all the reminders. We're on the same page about a lot of things. We certainly value your input and your effort and what you're trying to do to make this more valuable for everyone and to bring everybody together so that we can thrive off of each other's knowledge and insights. So we thank you for doing that.
Hey, man, thank you for having me. I'm glad that we were able to make it happen. I know we've been working to get this thing, and I'm so glad that I was able to do it today.
Certainly appreciate that. So thank you very much. And all of our guests, thank you very much as well. As always, this has been the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. I want to thank you for being here today. And again, Melvin, thank you very much for being here. And we look forward to seeing you guys on an upcoming show. Thanks again. And don't forget to join the chamber. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Mornings with Joel CRE podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to write a brief review. And as always, continue to invite, share, and subscribe.